As we all know, Joe Biden has a strong disdain for Black Americans. You can argue that it's partially due to the fact that he is a descendant of slave owners, but what many people seem to forget is that one of his key mentors was former KKK member Robert Byrd, the man that Joe Biden calls his leader. Now let's take a quick moment to look into who Joe Biden's leader actually is. In the early 1940s, Byrd recruited 150 of his friends and associates to create a new chapter of the Ku Klux Klan in Sophia, West Virginia. As a young boy, Byrd had witnessed his adoptive father walk in a Klan parade in Matoka, West Virginia. While growing up, Byrd had heard that the Klan defended the American way of life against race mixers and communists. He then wrote to Joel L. Baskin, Grand Dragon of the realm of Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland, and Delaware, who responded that he would come and organize a chapter when Byrd had recruited 150 people. It was Baskin who told Byrd, "You have a talent for leadership, Bob. The country needs young men like you in the leadership of the nation." Byrd later recalled, "Suddenly lights flashed in my mind. Someone important had recognized my abilities. I was only 23 or 24 years old, and the thought of a political career had never really hit me. But strike me that night, it did." Byrd became a recruiter and leader of his chapter. When it came time to elect the top officer, Exalted Cyclops, in the local Klan unit, Byrd won unanimously. In December 1944, Byrd wrote to segregationist Mississippi Senator Theodore G. Bilbo, and in the letter it states this: "I shall never fight in the armed forces with a Negro by my side. Rather I should die 1,000 times and see Old Glory trampled in the dirt, never to rise again, than to see this beloved land of ours become degraded by race mongrels, a throwback to the blackest specimens from the wilds." Robert C. Byrd in a letter to Senator Theodore Bilbo, 1944. In 1946, Byrd wrote a letter to Samuel Green, the Ku Klux Klan Grand Wizard, stating, "The Klan is needed today as never before, and I am anxious to see its rebirth here in West Virginia and in every state in the nation." That same year, he was encouraged to run for the West Virginia House of Delegates by the Klan's Grand Dragon. Byrd won and took his seat in January 1947. However, during his campaign for the United States House of Representatives in 1952, he announced that after about a year, I became disinterested, quit paying my dues, and dropped my membership in the organization, and that during the 9 years that have followed, he had never been interested in the Klan. He said he had joined the Klan because he felt it offered excitement and was anti-communist, but also suggested his participation there reflected the fears and prejudices of the time. Now, I want you to pay attention to this portion highlighted in blue because you're going to see that this is a reoccurring theme, what he says right here. Byrd later called joining the KKK the greatest mistake I ever made. In 1997, he told an interviewer he would encourage young people to become involved in politics, but also warned, "Be sure you avoid the Ku Klux Klan. Don't get that albatross around your neck. Once you've made that mistake, you inhibit your operations in the political arena." You see, joining the Ku Klux Klan was a mistake because it made his political life much harder than it needed to be. That's why you see him warning young people to skip that part of the game, because you don't want that albatross around your neck. Now, mind you, according to his own words, by the time he stepped away from the Klan, this was still in the 1940s. Yet, close to 20 years later in 1964, Byrd was a member of the wing of the Democratic Party that opposed federally mandated desegregation and civil rights. Byrd joined the Democratic senators to filibuster the Civil Rights Act of 1964, personally filibustering the bill for 14 hours. Here we go again, a move he later said he regretted. Look at the pattern of this man. He consistently puts his anti-black racism on display and in action, and when it doesn't work out the way he thought it would, now it's a decision that he deeply regrets. Oops, that was a mistake. Sorry, Black America. This is who Joe Biden learned from. This is the man that Joe Biden calls his leader.
Bishop, Reverend clergy, Mona and Marjorie, the entire Byrd family, If you didn't already know it, it's pretty clear the incredible esteem your father was held in. I know you've known that your whole life. To my fellow members of the Senate, you know, I was telling the president when I got elected the last time, and I had the great honor of running with the president, and I was elected vice president and United States senator in the same day for my 7th term. And in talking to, and I got sworn in for that 7th term because we thought we might need a vote there in those first couple weeks. And every time I sat with a leader, I never called Senator Byrd Senator. I always called him leader. When I sat with a leader, I could see that look in his face, and he said, "Joe, you sure you're making the right decision giving up the Senate for vice president?" I always wear a flag pin, but I was afraid he'd be looking down today because every time I'd wear the flag pin on the floor, he would grab me, take my pin, and put on a Constitution pin. That's the pin I'm wearing. So, boss, I'm wearing the pin.
Now, in between Biden being a descendant of slave owners and his leader being a former top officer in the Klan, Exalted Cyclops to be exact, it's then no big surprise that he skipped out on the UN Anti-Racism and Reparations event. At a meeting focused on reparations and racial justice for people with African heritage, the assembly pointed to the effects of slavery, colonialism, genocide, and called for ensuring that people of African descent can seek adequate reparation and satisfaction through national institutions. Millions of descendants of Africans who were sold into slavery remain trapped in lives of underdevelopment, disadvantage, discrimination, and poverty. South African president told the gathering via video. He urged the UN to take up the question of reparations for one of the darkest periods in the history of humankind and a crime of unparalleled barbarity. President Felix of the Congo said reparations, however they might be provided, should reflect not only historic wrongs, but also the scars of racial inequality, subordination, and discrimination which were built under slavery, apartheid, and colonialism. But Israel, the United States, and some other countries boycotted the meeting because of continued grievances over the Durban meeting 20 years ago. There, the US and Israel pulled out because participants drafted a conference declaration that denounced Israel's treatments of Palestinians. Now, real quickly, I just want to show you a list of all of the countries that pulled out of this UN meeting on racism and reparations. And as you can clearly see here, with the exception of Honduras, every country that pulled out was a European country, including the United States and Canada as well. Thomas Greenfield, who is African American, said combating racism is a top priority for her and for the Biden administration. She said the U.S. would continue working on the issue in more inclusive settings without detailing what she meant. Well, I'll tell you exactly what she meant.
What did the 5 fingers say to the face? What? Slap!
Now let's carry on. The U.S. decision drew criticism from the American Civil Liberties Union, one of the nation's most prominent rights groups. The boycott sends the wrong message to the global community regarding the U.S. commitment to fight all forms of racism and racial injustice everywhere, ACLU Human Rights Program Director Jamil Dakwar said. Biden did not send the wrong message. He sent the message that he wanted to, which is, I don't give a flying you-know-what about you ninjas, because all you're going to do is just vote for me again anyways. Matter of fact, let me take that back. You're just going to vote for Kamala in 2024 anyways. And they know this about us. That's why the Democratic Party is able to take advantage of us the way that they do. And until Black Americans change their thinking on the DNC, then this cycle will continue. And with all that being said, that does it for today's video. So please make sure you hit the subscribe button as well as the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you'll be notified whenever I release a new video. All social media links will be pinned in the comment section below. Please make sure you text tdhiphop to number 33222. That's tdhiphop to number 33222. That way you'll get a direct text message whenever I release a new video, but it also serves as a protection plan for myself. In case YouTube ever gives this channel the axe, I'll be able to send you a direct link to where you can find me next. And last but certainly not least, For those of you who have a love and appreciation for the work that I put in on this channel, the #1 way you can show your support is through Patreon. For only $3 a month, that will help put me in position to be able to take TD Hip Hop Media off of YouTube. Remember, the goal is not to grow big on YouTube, but to grow independent of YouTube. Thank you for your time, and until the next video, peace.